Well, Australia has now imposed sanctions on the Russian armed forces and 16 citizens of Russia. The authorities of the country continue to work with digital platforms to block content that's been created by the Russian state media. To give us more details on who has been sanctioned by Australia, joining me are Crispino and Samiksha. Samiksha and Crispino, tell us more about who these particular 16 individuals are and what the sanctions against the Russian armed forces are.
The latest sanctions that have come here is by Australia against the Kremlin. And let me take you through a quick statement there put out by one of the Foreign Minister, Marise Payne. Now, she goes on to say that the Australian government is placing sanctions on Moscow's propagandists and purveyors of disinformation trying to legitimize Russia's invasion. So it's a war of information here, it's a war of videos here, and the latest being Australia targeting the Kremlin and its officials. What do you have to say, Samiksha?
That's right, Crispino, and let me just add to this, the sanctions that have been imposed by Australia on Russia. It says that the new round of sanctions will impose targeted financial sanctions on the armed forces of the Russian Federation and also targeted against an additional 6 senior Russian military commanders as well. So we have Australia imposing sanctions, financial sanctions in fact, against the military personnel of Russia, as well as 6 senior Russian military commanders who are responsible for implementing naval, ground and air attacks on Ukraine. In fact, some more details that I have been able to gather, it says that the Australian government is sanctioning 10 people of strategic interest to Russia for their role in encouraging hostility towards Ukraine and promoting pro-Kremlin propaganda to legitimize Russia's invasion.
As Moscow continues its bid to break into Ukraine's capital, the people are stepping up humanitarian efforts in Kyiv. Ukrainians in the country's capital set up a field kitchen in the city to provide warm food for the army, hospitals and civilians. The scent drifts well beyond the checkpoint near the road as men and women stir soup and porridge in the field kitchen. It grew from a small tent to a large camp operated by dozens of volunteers who want to contribute in fighting Russians. A woman identified only as Oksana, whose husband is fighting in the Ukrainian army, said the kitchen duty gives her a way to avoid the latest developments. While soldiers are protecting their country on the front line, those who come back for a break can refill their stocks of cans at the field kitchen set up by civilians. Agency report for Republic TV.